GIM, Guided Imagery in Music, is a music-centered psychotherapy. And it was started in the 60s in the United States by Helen Bonny. She was the founder and she was a music therapist. And what she had experienced when she played the violin, it's called the process of flow, which is feeling completely one with everything around you and connected to the divine, connected to the higher power. And she knew when people get to that place, that's when healing happens. So she started experimenting with music, and that's how Guided Imagery then developed. She connected with somebody from Germany, Hans Karl, and he used the imagery aspect. So that's where the music and the imagery came together. Desiree, today is your first Guided Imagery in Music session. So I'm just going to start by explaining to you what Guided Imagery in Music is and how we're going to be using it. I was working as a tour guide and also running my tour operation business. The name of the company is African Soul Tours. And the whole idea behind it, the vision behind it, is to bring soul into tourism. So slowing everything down, giving people time to really absorb and not run from one point of the itinerary to the next. So I'm going to do the relaxation now and take you into a very deep, altered state. And then I'm going to start the music. And I will start by asking you a question. And you communicate whatever is happening for you. And one of the components of African Soul Tours is also a workshop organizer and event organizer. So like most things that are really spectacular and special, Guided Imagery in Music arrived as a gift. I was asked to organize a workshop for Gina Christel, who's the professor who comes from Germany to do the training with us. And we got a group together, 14 people, and from there onwards we realized there was enough interest, and I started to organize it. The training involves 3 modules, and the third module is split up into 4 different parts. And it was run twice a year, always for 10 days, intensive, and in the meantime it was practicing working with clients and in email contact and phone contact with Gina to evaluate the progress.
I come to a huge dome, ancient dome, and now I'm opening it. And open the door.
A huge component of GIM is your own personal journey with GIM. Once you've experienced it yourself and also seen what it does to our colleagues, you know, when we were training and while we are working together, it's so phenomenal that you are in awe, I am in awe of what happens, what the changes are. So now you're going to draw your mandala. You can draw inside the circle, outside the circle, whichever you feel compelled to do. GIM can be used for both individuals and in a group setup. In the case of individuals, it would be working over a number of sessions. An average would be about 6 sessions where you're working towards something. And the sessions are about an hour and a half, and it always involves the actual process of working with the imagery and the music, and then bringing that into form through the art process and discussion afterwards. And then with the groups can be varied. It can be a book club, it can be yoga students, and just recently it's also been introduced into the corporate environment where it can be used as team building. What happens is that you are using the music to access your very rich material of your subconscious, and it's like the language of the soul. So what comes out is in the art process you actually see what is happening in your colleague's soul. So it's a very affirming and uplifting process. Is everybody comfortable? Have everything that you need and can let go of present moment and present time for a while. We leave the mind out of it in the process because our mind complicates most things and takes us away from our heart and from our spirit. So we do use the mind in the beginning of the process because we need to involve it to find out what is the intention. And we often work with imagery already in the pre-talk. So to keep it away from our mind, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So the mind doesn't even feature because an image carries a wealth of information, and that is what is presented in the GIM process. When the client goes into imagery, once we've done the relaxation, the music starts, they go into imagery, and then the mind is out of it. And that is where the healing also happens, because that would now be on a soul level, on a much deeper level, because you're bypassing the mind to get to where are those emotions stored and what is it that can be healed on that level. The music programs are specifically designed by GIM fellows. Helen Bonny did the majority herself. So most of the programs are around half an hour to 40 minutes, and it is a selection of music programs that are music pieces that are put together in a specific way. I think the magic of GIM is the fact that we know music is the language of the soul, and music is also the bridge to our subconscious. And with that we work on so many different levels. People experience physical healing. There's a tremendous change. I mean, we are all energy and we are all vibration, and music is vibration and energy. So by playing music and by listening to music in this way, we already change our vibrations and our energy. So on a very practical level, that is what happens. At the end, we bring in the art process, so it's a creative process once again, bringing that imagery into the material world now. And then in the after talk, which is the last part of the GIM session, we now bring it back into the life of that person. In the voice work, we always start off with breathing. And what most people experience is an amazing sensation of realizing their own spirit and their own breath, the depth of their own breath, what it can do by really bringing in that into yourself. And then the next step would be going into humming, and then producing actual sounds. And they're once again working on a very physical level. Vibrationally, you are raising your vibration as you're working with the sounds, you're changing it. Working with the power centers, the chakras, you would be working with specific sounds for specific areas and bringing that to change the vibration of that area. Self-expression is the essence of who we are, because if we don't express ourselves, we depress whatever we have inside that needs to come out in terms of creativity, joy, laughter and playing. And I mean, depression is it's almost like an epidemic, especially in our Western society, because we are depressing so much of that. And creative expression is so essential. The element of spiritual connection and spirit that comes into GIM is inevitable, because you're connecting to people's soul, you are connecting to spirit. And so very often we connect to the greater consciousness, its themes like love, that are just experienced in the most beautiful way. Our own personal journey is what we experience, so that we can then bring that to other people as well. In my case, it's been a connection to music that has been there as long as I can remember. And the moments where I have felt most alive and most connected to the higher source and to spirit have always been related to music. So with that, I have experienced it myself and can therefore witness other people or guide other people to do the same if that is on their path.